Testing one, two, three. All right, think I'm live now. This is Stay in the Light broadcast podcast. That's why you don't see me, because this content is better portrayed as a podcast. I don't want any distractions, any people, any pictures. I want you to just, you don't have to look at the screen. Just if you're not driving or if you're not doing something important, if you're laying down, just close your eyes and listen. Because I want to reach your brain. I want you to think. The best way you can think is cut off all distractions. If you in a position to do that now, if you driving or if you outside and working, do not close your eyes. Do not close your eyes. Only if you're at home in your own bed and you got some quiet time. It's a very important topic. I want to print because I have questions about things, and I just keep that question in my mind. I'm looking for it subconsciously. I'm not even aware of all the questions I be asking myself. Then the answer shows up sometime many years later, sometimes right away. So I'm going to share some of these things with you to show you how I stay in the light by focus on the positive, the truth, which is the positive, which is the light. I asked the question because I have children in my family. They go to school, and I wondered why were they stopped? Were they not teaching them cursive writing? They wasn't teaching cursive writing anymore. So I had that question in my mind: why? And I didn't know the answer until just recently. And that's why I'm sharing with you now the reason why it's so dangerous for children not to know cursive writing, because if they don't know how to write it, they will definitely do not know how to read it. And why would reading cursive writing be important? Because all of the historical documents, they're not printed, they're written in cursive writing. The letters of George Washington, even the Constitution, all these historical documents are written in cursive writing. Now, may have been rewritten by some publishers to make it easy for you to understand. But if you want to get to the root of a historical document, it's not going to be printed unless it's in a maybe in a newspaper or something. But I'm talking about the original document. People just did not print back in the day. That's a very elementary form of communication. Printing. It's something that they do when publishing newspaper or mass media. Yes, mass media always have things out in the print because it's something for the masses. But real educators and students of educators, students who really are who seeking to be educated, they are seeking access to handwritten documents because a lot of times there was no printing press. There was no way to print out the documents to make it easier to read. Yeah, it's challenging sometimes to read these handwritten documents. But that's the source. You can print something from a handwritten document that won't be what the handwritten document says. Things will be changed. I've seen things change. I'm not going to list any specifics right now, but I have seen changes in documents when they was transferred from handwriting into printing. So it's very important to teach your child handwriting because it's not being taught in the schools. And this is another method of dumbing down Americans. This didn't just happen. This has been happening for years and years and years. Matter of fact, that was the whole purpose of education. It's supported by the churches. All the schools were mostly church orientated, and it's for you to be obedient servants, to be workers. Even the great supporters of education, I think it was was it Rockefeller or Rothschild. He said that they don't need they don't need smart people. School wasn't created for people to be smart. It's created for people to be obedient. Don't quote my words, but it was something of that effect. That these schools was created to keep you uh, obedient, to work. Oh, I got something really good for you now. Since I'm talking on this topic, it led me to another idea. And those who stay to the end, you're gonna get it. Have you heard of the Skinner box? Okay, B.F. Skinner was a psychologist, and he tested this idea of stimulus and response. It's called the Pavlov effect, where you ring a bell. Give you an example, and you can research it yourself, but I'm just going to summarize it. You ring a bell, the dog starts salivating, you give him food. Matter of fact, when you give him food first and ring the bell at the same time, he's going to associate the ringing the bell with the receiving food. So if you stop giving him food and keep ringing the bell, he's thinking he's going to get food. He's going to start salivating. In other words, you have created a response based on reward. That's called the Skinner box. Now, I want you to really think about what I'm going to say next because this may blow your mind. Y'all ready for it? Okay. You all went to school, right? Okay. Schoolroom is a building. It could be considered a wooden box. And what happened every hour or 45 minutes, depending on what school or what level you're in? The bell rings. And what's the reward? Well, it means you get to go to another class. You see that? It's the training. Even the teacher, most of the time, says, okay, since the bell rung, she can't hold you. He can't hold you. You got to let him go. So it's like the relief for the child who didn't want to be in the class. He's happy now because the bell means that he gets to leave. So it's part of this stimulus and response played on human beings. And the same thing with grades. You receive a high grade, you're happy, you're elevated. You receive a low grade, you're saddened, you're disappointed. Well, no grades have nothing to do with your ability. This is where they're striving for perfection. No, you have to fail before you succeed. You have to fail before nobody just gets up and succeeds. without going through some trials and errors, failures. So the schools are teaching you can't fail. No, 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 no. Success is based on success. I'm not ignoring y'all in there. I see y'all greeting me. How are you doing? Thank you for coming in. I get so tired of my topic that I just don't respond because it's kind of take me away from what I'm the point I'm making. But greetings everyone. How's everybody? Anything y'all got to share with me? My 10 minutes about up. Okay, well, since that's it, see you on the rebound. Just summarize what we talked about for those who coming on later. You can go back and watch the beginning of the tape, the audio, the podcast. This is a podcast. We talked about the importance of teaching your child how to have penmanship. Penmanship is very important. Not only in understanding historical documents or even books, some books were written in handwritten. If you can get old enough books, they was written before they had the printing press. You see notes of all these important people. Their notes is not printed; they're written out, longhand they call it. And do you know it takes skill to write a straight line, to write a perfect curve, to have handwriting that is good to look at? That takes a lot of discipline to do that. People who don't have good handwriting is because they have not dedicated themselves to practice writing well. That's a skill you can't just jump up and start writing, have good looking handwriting. You have to practice that skill. And I don't mean a few months, it takes years to develop a good handwriting. But if you're taught in school writing longhand, then it's easier as an adult. However, if you're not taught it at school and you start learning it on your own, it's going to take you longer to perfect that skill. Look what's happening when you write longhand. Your hand, your body, and mind have to be in sync. What do you think about? I'm speaking about the way you form the letters got to appear on the paper with a limited size. So that's a real challenge to write in a specific place. Specific place you got to write. What you have to gather your ideas first. Then you have to use the correct pronunciation, not pronunciation, capitalization and grammar. Yeah, it takes a lot of skill to be a writer, to get your ideas across. And if you're going to write it longhand, you need more skills. And the only way you can get those skills is by practicing. So what I'm saying is this: if you fail something, if you don't get a passing grade, that's part of learning. You're not a failure because you got a 65 or a 50 or a 40 or a zero. You're not a failure. You just have to apply yourself and you get better. It's normal and natural to fail something you try the first time. What the school should do is show how you improve over time, because you will. So they take this idea of failure because you don't get a high score, and they apply to real life. For example, if you're in a relationship and you have arguments, you think your marriage has failed because you have arguments, or because someone stepped outside and did something against the marriage of all vows, you think, oh, it's over. No, that's part of building the marriage, because nobody is perfect, but you can grow into perfection. And the only way to grow into perfection is to make mistakes. So get away from that idea that you have to be perfect, that you can't make a mistake. That's a false idea. What did Thomas Edison say? His work was 99% perspiration, which can also be translated as 99% work or failure. 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration, meaning trial and error for failure. But you keep at it, you're going to get better and better. Okay, not to prolong this, the bottom line is to teach your children longhand, because it's not being taught in the schools. And when they bring a low grade, don't get on them because they have a low grade. Just tell them you want to see them improve, and they will improve, and you assist them in improving. Because a lot of things are not being taught in the schools. The most important thing is not being taught is effective teaching. In other words, how you should feel about things. The effective teachings, how to feel about things, how to get along with each other, how to connect with another person. These are most important things we need to know as people. But the school is not teaching that. They don't want thinkers. Remember we said that they do not want thinkers. So you got to teach your child how to think. Whenever you're with your child, traveling, whatever, keep his mind occupied. Tell him to find a license plate that has a certain number and a certain alphabet. Get their minds busy, working puzzles, doing something, learning languages. That's a good occupation for a child to do. Learn foreign languages, and it would raise his IQ tremendously. All right, thank y'all for listening and staying with me to the end. Are you higher to the tribes?